I'm Kahla Buchanan and welcome to Around the Region. I've got a great show coming up for you guys tonight, including a Colonial Days preview from the border city, a medium, and an optimistic cyclist. But first, I got to play archaeologist for the day at the Bodo Archaeological Center and Site.
Bodo itself as a site was discovered in 1995 when the oil field came through and were putting on a well pad, and they found 2 bison skull just came out with the excavator. And then they called in archaeologists to come take a look, and the rest is history. This area back here where all the dead grass is, that is called Area 5. We found the remains of 16 bison in it. And you know how big bison are. Can you imagine 16 bison in that one area just piled up on top of one another? That was just a huge amount and definitely would have been a spectacle to see. We also found 62 arrowheads in that site as well, showing that it was definitely a kill site because it's very, very rare to find that many arrowheads in such a small area. So what we've uncovered here is part of the bone bed here at Bodo. The bone bed itself stretches 4 kilometers east-west and 2 kilometers north-south. It's a very big bone bed, and right now we're trying to find the edges of it. In the pit itself, we have uncovered an ulna, which is part of the arm bone, and it's fractured right here. We also have in the corner a piece of the mandible with a couple of the teeth. And then we have a tibia, which is part of the shin bone. That's what makes up our shins. And then we have various other fragments of ribs and other long bones that would have come from the arms and the legs. So what we have in this pit, we have another piece of a mandible. And then we also have, I don't know if you can see it down here, but it's a molar of a bison. So we find them disarticulated all the time. What is really neat about the find in this pit and then the other pit as well is that the bones that we find are ones that wouldn't be worth very much meat-wise. They did all of the processing of the bison on the site, so they would take all the undesirable parts and throw them away, like the hoof and the jaw, all that kind of stuff, because why would you want to transport heavy parts like that when they don't have as much meat in them?
So in 1995, the Pengrove oil field was putting in a pipeline in what would become the Bodo Archaeological Site. And these fragments of bone here were actually the first artifacts that they found. These 2 in the back are fragments of skull, and this here is a part of the shoulder blade. It's thanks to them that we even know that this site exists. In this display case, you can see different examples of projectile points and arrowheads that we have found here at the site, as well as different examples of pottery. There are some Mortlack pieces as well as old woman's pottery. We never find an intact pot out at the dig site, simply because if it was intact, they would continue to use it. What we find are the broken bits after it has fallen and smashed, say, or was discarded or simply could no longer be used. So this bone here is a bison vertebrae, and you can see the little black dot the arrow is pointing to is actually a broken piece of projectile point that was found lodged inside the bone. And what I always have a fun time imagining is a little arrowhead smaller than your pinky bringing down a bison that weighs quite literally over a ton.
More information on the Bodo Archaeological Center and the summer programs they offer for both kids and adults can be found at bodoarchaeology.com. I want to thank Deanna and Julia for letting me tag along with them all day. I had an absolute blast. And coming up next, the optimistic cyclist rolls into the border city on his campaign for good news.